Hi, please come. Mr. Mridul Singh, come and sit down, please.
Good afternoon, sir. Thank you, sir.
Do sit down, please. Do sit down, please. So, Mr. Mridul Singh ji, I am so impressed by your hobby, landscape photography. Which camera do you use?
I practice it on a mobile phone camera, but I do want to buy a DSLR camera to pursue it more professionally.
I'm sure mobile cameras now are as good as Carl Zeiss, Icons, and Bosch and Lom's also. Well, they're so state of the art. But tell me the precautions. Do you have a fisheye lens in the mobile phones? I would like to understand from you the technology part. What is a fisheye lens, and do we have this in mobile phones? Does your mobile phone have a fisheye lens?
No, sir, it does not have, but there are attachments that are available in the market that one can fix. But I found them very expensive to buy for my phone, and
Naturally, that cost is a consideration. But I also found mobile cameras being used for surveillance purposes. Like you've come into the interview room, it is possible to have a button camera on your label and the mobile phone in your briefcase outside and record every word that is going on. Do you know it's possible or it's not possible? What are the contraptions and software that you would require for that?
So, primarily a small camera piece that is able to relay the information back to the mobile phone.
Right.
That can happen either via Bluetooth or a specific technology that they might be using, but I'm not aware of it.
Never mind, I'm not supposed to know everything. Now tell me something about windmills and their applications and how the efficacy of windmills can be enhanced. Do you know what windmills are?
Yes, sir.
Turbine oriented mills installed. Go ahead and you do the elucidation part.
These are made in these are basically giant fans which rotate when the wind falls on them, and that rotating fan creates energy from the. So I'm not exactly knowing the mechanism that is working behind it, but the rotation creates energy. So it's basically creating the movement of air into electricity.
Very good. You have fair knowledge, but as an engineer, this is an answer. But I, as a journalist, will give. You, as an engineer, expected to go into greater details. Anyway, there are certain things that are happening in the country just now. The one is the Corona A virus threat. The second is the visit of President Donald Trump,
Yes.
proposed visit.
Yes.
Tell me something initially about the Corona A virus and how many deaths have actually happened till now.
So the latest figure that I came across in the morning was that it has touched around 1100 deaths. However, I may be a little wrong.
Not constant, but what you see in the morning is almost the truth. But what are the precautions that you take to avoid an infection of Corona A virus?
So is the question with respect to India or in general?
India. When in Rome, do as the Romans do.
Thank you, sir. So with respect to India, the first thing is to make sure that if such a case is coming from that region, the person is thoroughly screened and the appropriate tests are done.
What do you understand by quarantine? What do you understand by quarantine? You must have heard this term.
Yes, sir.
What is quarantine?
So it's basically for a precautionary purpose, a person is kept in a room that is sealed so that if there's a transmitting disease, it cannot go out and affect other persons.
Including IT.
ICT.
ICT.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Fine. You know about the internet actually? This is the third industrial revolution. It happened. And internet, that has opened, I think, a huge vista of knowledge to our students. But simultaneously, it has also developed physiological, psychological, and emotional disorders in students. Do you agree with this theory?
Yes.
How it is creating that internet? why it is creating so much of disorders and psychological and the physiological changes in amongst our students?
So the first reason that comes to my mind is the larger role that the social media is playing. That is because now the people are interacting on a platform where information is flowing very freely. So this leads to they coming into contact with certain perhaps applications. The one example that comes to my mind is the Bluefin application. There was this game that the students were playing, and it led to certain suicides among the students. So it's the typical extreme case of internet.
TikTok things. What do you mean by TikTok?
So it's a social media application in which the participants upload small videos, and it's, I think, not more than 10 to 15-second videos, and and they're doing certain stuff creatively and sharing it online.
Okay, tell, you are now being positioned at a very important chair, occupy important chair in the districts. Tell us the efforts or the challenges that you will meet, how to win away our younger generation from the screen. That's the huge challenge. What are the steps that needs to be taken so that our younger generation are not glued to only on the screen itself, whether in the form of mobiles or in the internet, computers, or in the screen? What are the steps we need to take?
So with respect to the younger children, it's very important to understand that if we force them to do something, they are particularly going to do that. So we should not go for a complete ban. However, I mean, we know the positives of using a mobile phone device or internet, but we need to encourage them going outside playing. For example, the concept of having a happy hour or a hour in which students are just interacting in the school, particularly with among themselves, or doing interactive games in which they're actually either using physical games or they are doing certain physical activities. So to introduce this concept, the schooling level is the perfect area, and perhaps it comes under the ages of administration, and one can be a little more creative in that area.
Okay. Forget about this, your course that they say. You know about the USA-Iran conflict? Are you aware of this?
Yes.
Okay. Why there are exemptions to China and India about the economic sanction to Iran? Why China and India are exempted? There's economic sanction to Iran by USA and other countries also. Why India and China are being exempted?
So I'm sorry, I do not know about China, but I can tell about India.
Why India?
The economic sanctions have been pursued by USA, and India has certain strategic projects in China. The sanctions are not umbrella, by the way. They are with respect to certain things. For example, Chabahar port have been exempted because the important role it is going to play in redevelopment of Afghanistan. So the international community acknowledges India's participation, and they have exempted it. Secondly, I think there was exemption on the oil imports for India, because India made a strong case that stopping oil suddenly will create a crisis in Indian economy. However, I believe that exemption has also been added now. Thank you.
Mass media and social media, what is the difference?
So social
You studied the ICT.
So social media is with respect to individual. I mean, the social media feed that is going to come is with respect to the individual.
Social media.
So this because it's from the lens of a person who is viewing the larger social aspect. So in that respect, it's social. it's the person who is getting a platform to interact on a social basis. However, mass media, that is newspaper, radio, television, it's the same content that will be uniform for all the people viewing certain channels. So
Mass media. What is the concept of mass media? Why do we call it mass media? We can call it media.
it is to disseminate information to a large amount of masses through a singular medium. However, I may not be.
What about CAA Dharna? If you are IAS officer or IPS officer looking after the Jasola area of Delhi, where is this Shaheen Bagh Dharna is going on, and if you are authorized to clear it, what step will you take?
So, if I have been authorized and if the order is to clear it, then I'll make sure that I'm clearing it.
Steps.
Yes. So the first step will be to go and have a conversation and to persuade them to move. That is going to be my first step. If still they are going to be adamant, I'm going to make sure that they realize that there is an order against this against the protest here, and it is legally mandated for them to move. And if still they are going to resist, then I may have to use certain kind of measures that are perhaps indicated in the rule book. So I'll go by what the rule says in that regard.
Good. What is DFCCIL in the railways? You mentioned in your father's.
Yes, sir. It's the Dedicated Freight Corridor Corporation of India Limited.
So he's in charge of that.
So he's in charge of a particular section in the project. Yes.
Are you therefore familiar with the transport corridors in the country?
Yes, sir. I have certain idea, but I mean,
What is the big ticket item there?
So the biggest and the most ambitious project is the bullet train project that has been envisioned between Ahmedabad to Mumbai. Second is the DFC corridors, and so these are the two most important that come to my mind.
And your hobbies mentioned stage play.
Yes, sir.
So what is a stage play? What do you mean? Different from a drama or a play?
Yes, sir. There are differences. So a drama is nothing but reading a text. A play is enacting that drama on a stage. A drama is reading it in the context, the way it is written. A play can be interpreted.
Yes.
Yes, sir. A stage play can be interpreted in a way that the same drama can be given a satirical notion or even a cynical notion. So drama is meant to be read. A play is needed to be performed.
What would be a counterpoise to stage play? What, some other kind of play? Street play? Street play.
What about Natya?
Sorry.
There is Natya Shastra. Who has written it?
Bharat Muni.
What has he written in it?
So I don't remember. I read it as a part of my course, but I don't remember.
So you were telling about street plays. Yes. Do you know of any leading street play leader who pioneered?
So I may have come across some names, but I'm not able to recall right now.
Satya Rashmi?
So I don't remember.
Tell me, on the foreign affairs side, you have an interest. Yeah. There is so much protest against on the CAA. What is your view about it on the international side, external side? What has it meant for India?
So it is very visible that certain countries are having reservations with CA, particularly Bangladesh. And the fact of matter is CA is an internal issues, and if it is creating certain reservations amongst our neighbors and perhaps the most friendly country we had in our neighborhood, then it is, I believe, we as a country are duty to have a conversation with them and to make them understand that it is something that it is our internal matter.
Do you agree that we have ended up turning the spotlight on ourselves instead of the ill treatment of minorities in neighboring countries, especially in Pakistan?
So yes, I will not say that it is the only outcome, but yeah, it is one of the outcomes that has come out of it.
And what would you say is the biggest challenge for India on the external front?
So it's the
Apart from terrorism, sorry, I should add, which it is, but I would like you to focus on.
Sir, on a larger picture, it's the uncertain global order that is the countries are not willing to play by the rule. For example, if I am allowed to give an example, it's the WTO organization, which was perfectly working, but now is under a lot of scrutiny. So it's the global rule-based order which is perhaps somewhere weakening. So India has to navigate rough waters for that.
You feel that's the biggest challenge? Yes. What about China?
So it is also a major issue, but I talked in the sense of a umbrella.
But you feel that is also yes. What do you think can be done about the Chinese challenge? In different dimensions, of course, but what does it entail? What will it require in the main?
So I personally believe with China we have three C's. It's the conflict, cooperation, and the other C is conflict. So did I say conflict, cooperation, and sir, I'm not able to recall the. Sir, I'm sorry. I must have.
That's where you are.
Just relax and answer.
Yes, sir. So, with respect to conflict, it's the issues like NSG group. It's issues with respect to China's again and again prompt with respect to Kashmir.
What can be done?
Yes, sir. So me coming to that point, it's like the issues that are contentious. India and China need to come to the table. We need to have a discussion on the issues. For example, the informal meets that the two leaders had in Chennai and in Wuhan was a good step. That in a informal way we are discussing issues and.
You are stating the obvious. There's need to. I meant what can be done about the challenge. It's a challenge. In the long run, is eroding your position, which is the primary sphere of action. So you need to talk. You are talking. Surely.
So it's the Indian Ocean region which I think that the China is trying to come into, and perhaps it can have certain negative ramifications for India. So India needs to have both approaches, a strong power and a soft power to counter China.
Thank you.
Tell us three important contributions of Dhirubhai Ambani to India.
So the first one is the petroleum setup, the refinery he started in Gujarat. Secondly, he brought he brought textile manufacturing to masses in India, and Thirdly, sir, the only thing that comes to my mind is the polychemical industry that he started. But
He built up a big industrial empire. Now,
Yes, sir.
why is there often criticism of Ambani, Adani? What is the basis of this criticism, Ambani, Adani, and not just today, overall? Have you heard of crony capitalism?
Yes, sir.
What is the meaning of this?
so it is basically that the government is favoring certain industries or certain people and making the administrative structure or rules in such a way that those capitalistic companies are benefiting the most.
We are going for a market economy in any case. Then what's wrong? What is wrong?
In a market economy, every industry has to have a level playing field. But in a crony capitalistic market, we are we are being basically partial to some and in a partial against some other industries.
Now, in the ICT sector, in IT sector, put it this way, what are some of the important problems between India and the US now? What problems are we facing with regard to our IT exports to US?
So it's the IPR regime that US says that India is not having a robust IPR.
Affect the IT sector particularly? Or is it more important in pharma, etc.? How is the IT sector affected by the IPR?
So it's
So I think you are right that it is not the most important issue, but it is one of the issues.
Any other issues?
So it is the huge workforce that India is sending to US and
What are those visas called?
H1B visas. Yes, sir. So that is the issue.
हेलो फ्रेंड्स, दीक्षांत आईएएस प्रस्तुत करता है दीक्षांत फ्री कोचिंग एंड स्कॉलरशिप प्रोग्राम, भारत सरकार एवं गैर सरकारी संगठनों द्वारा वित्त पोषित। हेलो फ्रेंड्स, दीक्षांत फ्री कोचिंग एंड स्कॉलरशिप प्रोग्राम ऑनलाइन कोर्स का लाभ लेने के लिए गूगल प्ले स्टोर पर जाकर दीक्षांत एजुकेशन टाइप करें और हमारे ऐप को डाउनलोड करें, या दीक्षांत आईएएस के यूट्यूब चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करें तथा ऑफलाइन कोर्स का लाभ लेने के लिए या इस बारे में विशेष जानकारी प्राप्त करने के लिए हमारे मोबाइल नंबर पर संपर्क करें 7428092240 9312511015 8851301204